Yep, this is it. The one in the title, the scarf, blessed by the Dalai Lama himself. I know, it doesn't look like much, does it? It's a little plain, it's a little raggedy. Trust me, I felt the same thing. I first met the Dalai Lama in 2005 in Argentina, and this was a picture from that day. It was at a meeting of the Young Presidents Organization, and at the time, I was the global chairman. I had traveled to over 100 countries around the world. I was meeting with presidents and prime ministers, hanging out with kings and queens, meeting CEOs of the largest companies on the planet. Life was fast. It was exhilarating. From the outside, I was living the dream. When my meeting with the Dalai Lama ended, he came to me and gave me this scarf. And he said, "This is my blessing to you." And then he laughed, a deep, profound laugh that stopped everyone in the room. And I thought, what is it that he knows that I don't? Here is someone who had faced unimaginable challenge, who had felt lost throughout his life, but still he radiated enormous happiness and joy. And as I thought about that moment, I took the scarf. And I thought, well, do I sell it, put it on eBay? That didn't seem right. Well, maybe I'd just throw it away. Well, that also didn't seem really right. So into a box it went for years. And I suppose I was waiting for some magical powers to appear. But just between us, I have to be honest, this scarf didn't change my life. But the message he gave me when he gave it to me did change my life. So today, I'd like to try an experiment. I'd like to send this scarf on its own journey of joy. So I'm going to pass throughout the audience, and when it comes to you, I'd like you to take it. And I'd like you to think about those moments of joy in your life. When have you felt the happiest? When have you felt at one with the universe? So think about those moments, and then if you need a little happiness in your life, take it out of the scarf today. And then, if you can, put some joy back in it and pass it to the next person. And let's see this journey of this scarf today. But you didn't come here for the scarf, so let me share a little bit of my journey to joy. And my journey to joy starts in the tobacco fields of North Carolina in the 1890s. My great-grandfather, Samuel Thomas Moyle, was a 17-year-old with a third-grade education working in those tobacco fields and dreaming of something better. Well, or so goes the family legend. One day, he and his friends got word of a Methodist tent revival coming to town, and they thought, we're going to put together a plan. So they gathered their horses, and they were waiting outside that tent, and they were going to ride right through the moment of a quiet prayer. Well, something unexpected happened. My great-grandfather got down off his horse, walked to the front of the tent, and said, "God, I don't know what you want to do with me, but here I am." That fateful decision changed his life. 4 weeks later, a letter arrived from Trinity College here in Durham, North Carolina, and it was offering him a scholarship to come here and study to become a Methodist minister, free, on an anonymous scholarship. He took a leap of faith and came to Durham, graduated, and then became a Methodist circuit rider, serving churches throughout North Carolina on horseback for decades. And that family lesson always taught me that sometimes our journeys start with an unexpected leap of faith. So when I came here as a student, I was the fourth generation of Duke graduates, and my children, 2 of them, are now the 5th generation. And when I came here as a student, I had no idea how profoundly Duke would change my life. In my sophomore year, I was elected student body president, and it was a tremendous honor representing my fellow students. And in fact, 40 years ago, I accepted the key to this very building at its opening on behalf of the student body. But the greatest gift I got from Duke was not about a title or accomplishments or something to put on my resume. It was a mentor. Terry Sanford, the president of Duke at the time. And Terry came to me in the spring of my senior year and said, "I've got an offer for you." And it was one that I couldn't refuse. He said, "If you show up at my house by 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, I'll cook you breakfast." So despite some late nights on Saturdays as a Duke student, I still would get up before the sun rose and make it to his house. And so most Sundays I had breakfast with Terry Sanford, eating eggs, sausage, and grits in his kitchen, listening to his outrageous ambitions for this institution, but more importantly, getting his lessons for life. And those lessons focused on the fact that one person could change the world, but that more importantly, we had a responsibility to make those around us better, to help all people become the best version of themselves. And so naturally, I went into salty snacks as a career. So my primary claim to fame was creating restaurant-style Tostitos and enlarging American wastes for the last 40 years. You're welcome. That is my gift to you. But the greatest gift I got at Frito-Lay was meeting my wife, Wendy, my life and business partner. And marrying Wendy was the best decision that I ever made. At the age of 27, we decided to return back to Indiana and buy my family's business. It was a fairly bold move. It was a small company, 35 people in a town of 1,400 people, selling prom supplies via catalog across the country. But we had a dream. We had a vision. We believed that we could make life more fun by changing the way the world celebrated. So over the next 3 decades, we worked diligently, and we built a company that spanned 55 countries, 36,000 items, and over 500 team members serving tens of millions of customers around the world. It was an extraordinary journey. And with that life came the trappings of success: private jets, the requisite 50-acre estate with the indoor Duke basketball stadium that everyone needs to have, and wealth, well, wealth beyond anything I probably could have ever deserved or imagined. But success doesn't guarantee joy. The more that I got, the more that I achieved, the more wealth that I generated, it seemed the less fulfilled and less happy that I was. And so I started to wonder, what am I about? And so I even kicked myself out as CEO 3 times, trying different things, from going back to school at Harvard on a fellowship, serving on the board of trustees here at Duke and as an alumni president. But still, I was not fulfilled. And at the peak of our business success, well, we discovered that life doesn't follow a script, does it? Our family suddenly faced 2 challenges with cancer. And those challenges were terrifying, transformative, and humbling. They taught me about what was truly important in life, those relationships that we had. And indeed, that challenges come no matter what level of success that you have. And then we faced more challenges. COVID-19 had shaken our business to its core. On March 16th, 2020, our revenue dropped 25%. The next day, it dropped another 70%. So in 2 days, we had lost 95% of our sales. Imagine running a global enterprise, spanning the globe, where you didn't have parties, celebrations, weddings, or graduations. The birthday parties that were part of the most special events in people's lives had stopped, and so our business stopped. We pivoted as if our lives depended on it. Our team shrank from over 500 to less than 50. We actually made PPE and masks and gowns out of materials from party supplies. We pivoted to outdoor celebrations. We did whatever it would take to survive. And for the next 18 months, Wendy and I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week to survive. And we were making it. We had turned a corner. But not everyone believed in our success. December 7th, 2021. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was sitting in this building, looking out my window, surrounded by cash flow projections, spreadsheets, and a mountain full of hope held together by duct tape. And my assistant Joe walked over to my office area and said, "You have a call. It's the bank CEO." That in itself was a surprise. But being an optimist, I thought, well, perhaps this is good news. Perhaps he's calling to tell us that he's going to renew the credit line and our business can move forward to the next step of our recovery. I picked up the phone. "We've made a decision," he said. "Effective immediately, your access to cash is terminated. We're selling your credit line. Good luck." 4 sentences, 20 seconds. No warning, no discussion. And I sat there for a moment trying to take it all in and what this could mean for our 97-year-old business. And the realization hit me. This was the end. Ironically, in the conference room next door, there were 4 private equity investors with offer documents on the table. Our future lifeline. We were ready to do the deal. I walked in, shared the news, and no one said a word. Quietly, they got all the documents, put them back in their briefcase, and walked out the door. The deal was done. That night, I sat in this building wondering, what did this mean? I felt an overwhelming sense of failure. Not only for myself, because the family legacy now ended on my watch. For our community that we had been a part of for almost 100 years. For our hundreds of employees that had worked for us for decades and for generations. I faced the press, the headlines, the rumors, and the whispers of failure. The next months were some of the most difficult of my life. Because I faced those questions, but also the deeper questions of who am I if I am not the owner and CEO of this business? My DNA was tied up in the existence of this organization, and it was gone. And I slowly came to the realization that my life wasn't over. My journey wasn't over. And it was when I remembered the words from the Dalai Lama when he handed me that scarf going through the audience. He said, "Happiness is what we give to others. Joy is what we feel when we do." And so I started to think through all those moments in my life when I had felt joy. When had I felt at one with the universe? When was I at my very, very best? And I wrote all those moments down. And as I looked through that list, I discovered a few things. Not one had anything to do with money, wealth, success, power, achievement, resume. They all had to do with connection, coaching, teaching, mentoring, helping others become the best version of themselves, helping others reach their full human potential. And I walked away feeling that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually a doorway to a new opportunity. And so I took a leap of faith, just as my great-grandfather did so many years ago, and came back here to Duke. No longer as a student, but now as a professor. I spend my days working with students, having a flunch here or there, spending time understanding what they are dreaming of, and learning from them in the process. I am living a life of joy. Each and every day that I come on this campus, I am finding happiness and I am finding joy. It's the most fulfilling and rewarding work that I've ever done. This is the place and the time that I was meant to be. So today, as you pass that scarf, as you think about what has brought you joy in life, I ask you to go back in your life, when have you felt joy? When have you felt the happiest? These will be the markers and the milestones for you to start your journey to joy. Perhaps try my joy filter. At the end of every day, I go through my calendar and what I've done that day, who I've met with. And if it brought me absolute and total joy, I keep it. If it didn't, I don't do it again. Life is way too short for energy suckers. So joy isn't something that you find. It's something that you create. It's in the choices you make, the relationships that you nurture, and the way that you show up for others. Happiness is what you give to others. Joy is what you feel when you do. And so as you embark on your journeys, think about what you want. Is it wealth? Is it success? Is it a resume line? I hope you'll join me on a journey, a different journey, a journey to joy that starts today. Thank you.